guys, Virginia here, and I'm back with another 12 by 12 process video for you today, and this one's for the Kitaholic Kits design team using the gorgeous October kits. So these kits are full of the new Cocoa Vanilla Unforgettable collection, and I've gone ahead and cut one of this month's exclusive cut files. It's this gorgeous little floral background on some white cardstock. I did go ahead and back it off camera with some vellum just because I'm kind of really limited for time lately, and I just really cut it, well, not cut it, just whatever 5 or 10 minutes spare I had, I spent backing it with vellum. It was vellum and thin paper. Backing cut files takes a really long time, so yeah, I've gone ahead and done that off camera. And I have also backed it with some little foam strips as well, some white foam, just so that you can't see it peeking through. Okay, so now I'm going through the 12 by 12 pattern papers. I really had this idea to kind of coordinate that cut file with that really busy floral pattern paper, and the idea of the vellum is to kind of soften it and mute down some of that pattern, and it really works. It's a gorgeous look. It really mutes out a lot of the detail, but you can kind of see those gorgeous little florals and the peaks of colour between the flowers. But I also wanted to bring in some of that wood grain, because the photo I'm using today is of Eddie and my dad, and so I wanted to bring in a bit of a masculine feel, which that wood grain really achieves that. So I didn't want too much of it, but combining the floral pattern paper and that wood grain together, while they really work, there wasn't a clear kind of definition or separation between the papers. And first I tried white cardstock, but it was really lost and didn't provide that definition. So I tried this kind of gorgeous minty kind of colour cardstock. It's just American Crafts. I don't know the colour, sorry. And that really worked. That provided that kind of definition between that floral and the wood grain. So that's why I've done that. I've just trimmed 1/2 inch off two sides of that floral pattern paper, and just bordered it with a really thin border of that minty green, and then I've gutted that wood grain. I don't want to waste it, and it's just got an inch border on it, and then I'm just going to mount that cardstock and pattern paper on top. So I'm just doing that now. Kind of speed through a little bit. I'm sorry if you can hear noises in the background. Eddie's in the playroom, which is right beside my craft room. She's got a recorder and she's giggling because she thinks she's hilarious because she's interrupting my voiceover. But we won't go into that. And it's also blowing an absolute gale outside at the moment, so there's lots of thumping and rumbling and banging and crashing and creaking going on. So okay, so I'm just going to take a few minutes and just add a whole bunch of glue to the strips that I've got on the back of this cut file. I really couldn't use like a dry adhesive. The strips of that foam was way too thin, so my best advice for something like this is to just use a generous amount of glue on that foam, and just let it dry. As long as you've got a glue that dries clear, you really will not notice it underneath the cut file at all, even if it seeps out. And yeah, okay, so that's all done. I'm just flipping it over, and because that vellum, when you put something wet on vellum like glue, when you adhere it to the cut file, it tends to want to curl a bit, and because that entire cut file is backed with vellum, the cut file was wanting to really curl in places. So of course, when I try to adhere the entire cut file onto that background pattern paper, the whole thing's curling up and not sitting flat, so I'm not going to achieve the adhesion with the wet glue anyway. So what I've got is just shoved a box of Project Life pocket pages. I don't know why I have them. I don't even do Project Life, but I've got a big old box of them. I'm sure they'll use them on something one day, and a couple of paper pads. I'm just going to let that sit there for a little bit, because I'm using Scotch quick dry tacky glue, so it does dry really quickly. But I'm just going to rest these on there while I back my photo. So I'm just using some of the 6x8 paper pads. I've got that gorgeous mint and white striped that I've used as my first layer, and then I've brought in that kind of corally coloured floral, just to bring in some of that coral that's in the flowers on the background, and then lastly that gorgeous like kind of white background with the black typewriter font. I really like that. It's a really nice soft a detail to my final border. The photo I've printed in black and white just because of the colours. It's actually a photo from Christmas a couple of years ago, and I love the photo, but the colours, Eddie's wearing, she's got gold and red on her sequins on her top, and her skirt is bright red, so she's all dressed up for Christmas, and it just didn't go with the colours on this. But the sequin detail on her top is in the shape of a butterfly, so I'm really wanting to bring in a few butterflies into the page as well. So that's what I'm kind of working on now. So again, with that wood grain detail, bringing in a bit of masculine touch around the photo with the use of that wood grain frame. And I'm just layering up some bits and pieces now. We've got a couple of tags. One has love on the end, that's that lighter pink one, so I've just kind of tucked that strategically so that the word love pokes out. And then there's another kind of darker pink one that says something about everyday, and I've just kind of strategically placed it as well. I'm just bringing a bit of interest really over to the right hand side of the photo, as well as that kind of pink to peach coloured watercolour tag as well. I've brought that down to the right hand side. It's got a really soft subtle butterfly design on it, and as well as that little minty green banner with the butterfly. I've just tucked in those photo layers to the bottom right of the photo. And yeah, I did initially try a giant cluster of florals. I thought it might be good, I would be able to get them on the layout, but actually they were really lost. So I decided I really didn't need to add a lot. There's a lot going on without the need for embellishments, if that makes sense. So I'm focusing on some of those fewer flowers, not fewer, smaller flowers, to bring just some little pops of colour in a few areas. So you'll see I've got them at the bottom left and top left, and then a couple spreading out from those two flowers at the top left of the photo. And I brought in one of those gorgeous white acrylic hearts, and I'm trying a flare badge. I first tried a butterfly one, but it was a bit too same. I guess we got a butterfly on that little banner, and then a butterfly on the flare, and it just seemed a little bit too much. So I've replaced it with a camera one, and I've got it on the page, which is great because I never normally am able to work flare buttons onto the page, but I've got one on, so I'm rather happy about that. Okay, so I'm just going through the sticker sheets as well. Got another little banner. I think it says moments, that I've just kind of layered under that minty green one, just to give some dimension and depth from those little banners we've got going on. And I'm pulling off some little phrase stickers as well, and just sitting them on that tag that we've got to the right of the photo. Just pulling another one off now, and I'm going to layer that up, and that's it for my little phrases. I'm just having a quick look through the clear stickers. You can see there I've got a bit. I keep my white scraps off cut files. I just kind of sit them beside me, so for things like this, for when I've got clear stickers, or if I need white for behind a photo or anything like that. And I've seen that Edison's been around and written her name on the bottom of that piece, which is, yeah, never mind. Okay, so I've just pulled off one of those sketchy flowers off the clear sticker sheet and just backed it on some white cardstock and fussy cut it out again. And I like that for a different kind of texture, and the black, just with a charcoaly black kind of colour, just kind of stands off the page because there's not a lot of black going on, so it's really visible within that cluster, and it's adding more depth to those flowers that we've got going on. I'm going to fussy cut a few butterflies off the 6x8 paper pad and just add them in my clusters that I've got going on. Just small things, really trying to focus on some large things because they, at the end of the day, like I said, going to get lost on that background. So another little butterfly up there, and I start to move it down to that cluster. I think it gets moved when I glue it down later on anyway. Okay, so we've got these foam phrases and images from the Amy Tan Slice of Life collection that came in the kit. And I do pull off a little foam banner. It's got a gorgeous little black and white kind of stripe on it, and I thought that'd be nice to layer in there. I did try that corally coloured one, but it doesn't make it onto the layout. So, being super lazy with my titles today, but I knew that these would really stand off the page and just make my life so much easier. So I'm going to use the gorgeous foam black thickers that come with the Cocoa Vanilla line, but I'm going to go ahead and quickly glue everything down, just so I don't have to try to pick up my title or anything after. Okay, so we're script 2, it's all glued down. Everything's kind of stayed where I set it, and I settle on Family Stories as my title. So I'm going to just pop the word stories in place first, and it's going to fit nicely between those banners and that floral cluster to the left there. It's kind of overlapping things, but that's okay, that's totally okay with me. It's making everything feel kind of really connected, and then I'm just going to pop my word family on top, and I'm really happy with that. It stands out really nicely. I do try one of those foam hearts, but decide against it. I didn't want to kind of dominate the page with the black, but I am going to add these little lines at the end of family, and then that's it for my layout. So I hope you enjoyed the process. If you want to check out this month's kits, be sure to check check the description box below for the link, and yeah, until next time, bye guys.